Hey guys, I'm Adam from Suppressors in the Tactical Performance Center. I got a new optic for my rifle here and I have to zero it, so I figured I'd take this opportunity to show you guys the process that I use for zeroing a 1 to whatever optic. It's a low power optic that I'm traditionally going to run a 50 to 200 yard zero on, which is what I generally do. A little walkthrough here. This is a Vortex Viper PST2 1 to 6. I'm shooting on a JP rifle. We have our SBR 762 suppressor on there. So this is actually going to be a 30 cal can with a thread adapter. So for those of you who wonder what a 223 fired through a 30 cal sounds like, you'll know here. And we're just running a little rifles only suppressor cover on there to kind of help with mirage and things along those lines. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm not actually going to start with shooting a target. I'm just going to pick something on a dirt hill at kind of 50-ish yards. It can be 100. It can honestly be pretty much any distance. But I'm going to use that for my really rough adjustment. So all I'm going to do is, hopefully this works. I got the camera looking through a spotting scope, and I got the bottom of a stick over there, and I'm just going to kind of shoot generally at that. So let's see how this goes. So there's my stick, and it looks like I am a little bit low. So I am shooting a mil reticle in here, which is really nice because I have essentially a ruler when I'm looking through my scope, which means I can see the impact. I can actually measure from the impact to the target and know where I need to go. So according to this, I need to go up about 1 mil and then set another one. I'm gonna go up another half. I'm gonna go right about a half. That's a little too far, about a half. Cool, so that's pretty darn close. That's about as close as I can tell. Just seeing dirt kind of explode around the stick. You can use a clay pigeon, a rock, dirt clod, whatever you want to go. But that's the first portion. So now we're gonna shoot at a 50 yard piece of paper, but I'm not trying to get it perfect. I'm just trying to get it in that orange dot, which is about 1 inch. So I just kind of want, 2 or 3 shots to land in there, and then we're gonna move back to 200 yards. So here goes the 50. All right, and I'm actually gonna shoot 3 shots because I want a group. I don't want just one random shot. So now I'm gonna look at my shots, which look to be about a mil low and probably 4 clicks left. So for turrets, there will be a direction on your turret that says up or right or left or down. That is your bullet impact. So if you're hitting low, you want to turn it up. So I want to go 2, 3, 4, 5 up because they are 0.2 mil clicks, and I want to go left. 1, 2, 3. We'll give it 4. We'll give it 0.8 left. So let's try that again. All right, and it looks like those guys are all in the orange. I'll confirm with the spotting scope here in just a second. It's kind of nice to have a nice piece of glass to look down range. But now we are going to go back to 200 yards. So I have a pretty darn close zero, but I want my true zero to be my 200 yard zero. Sometimes you shoot your 50 yard zero and you just get lucky and it turns out to be a perfect 200 yard zero. But a lot of times if you're off by just the tiniest little bit at 50 yards, it looks just fine because you have a nice little bug hole group. But then when you go to 200 yards, it can be off by a couple inches. Take that out to 400, 500, 600 yards that we shoot sometime in 3-gun, and you're talking about feet. So it's really important that your 50/200 yard zero, and I'm using my air quotes here, is actually a 200 yard zero that also pretty much lines up at 50. All right guys, so now we're going back to 200 yards. My little point the camera through the spotting scope trick didn't really work at 200 because there's just too much mirage, so I'm just going to use it to verify my hits here, so you're not going to see those unfortunately. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do in terms of how I actually get my 200 yard zero, because this scope and most 1 to whatever power scopes have reasonably thick reticles in them, so they cover a pretty large swath at 200 yards, which is just fine because they're designed to get you on target really fast and make reasonably accurate shots, but they're not the same as like Razor 4.5 to 27 that has a very fine reticle and even has a hole in the middle of the crosshairs so you can shoot really, really tiny groups with the thing. If these reticles were much thinner than this, they'd be really hard to pick up, and they'd cost you a lot of time, which is important for, you know, pretty much any kind of shooting that you're going to do with a scope like this, especially for me as a 3-gun shooter. So what I do is I put my IPSC target down there, and I use an IPSC target specifically for a reason, but I don't run a dot like this like I did at 50 yards, because that reticle covers almost the whole dot, and if I'm basically holding until the reticle disappears, I can only get so fine of an adjustment. So what I actually do is I zero on the head box, and I just quarter the head box with the reticle. So I just put the horizontal portion of the reticle across the middle, I put the vertical portion of the reticle straight down from the top to the bottom, and that tends to give me a much better zero than I would otherwise get. So heading out to 200 here, and we'll see how this goes. All right, let's take a look and confirm. And it looks like I'm just low. So now it gets a little bit tricky. I no longer have a ruler. This is kind of a hunting style spotting scope. It doesn't actually have a mil reticle in there. And I can't actually see my impacts in here. So I kind of have to guesstimate. So I'm gonna look through this scope, and my hits are in the center, but they're just at the bottom of the head. So now I'm gonna look through this scope. I'm gonna measure from the bottom of the head to the center of the head. It's probably gonna be like 1 or 2 clicks. And then I'm gonna send 3 follow-up shots and see where that gets me. So that is, yeah, probably just, I'm gonna go 2. Alrighty, take a look at that one. Pay dirt. All right, I'm all done. Now we're gonna move on to the final portion of this, which is shooting out as far as I can possibly get with the terrain that I have and confirming that my dope is right. So I'm gonna shoot this past a chronograph. I've done all my load development stuff, but I need to know my bullet speed, my bullets BC. I'm gonna put that into a ballistics calculator like Straylock or Applied Ballistics, and it's gonna tell me, hey, at 375 yards, which is the farthest target I have available today, your hold should be whatever it should be. So I'm gonna dial to that hold, and I'm gonna shoot at it, and if I get an impact, then I know my dope is good. If I don't, then I can use the truing function in that ballistics calculator to make sure that my dope is good. So when I'm shooting well past 200 yards, I'm getting good hits. The other thing that I'm gonna do before I do that is I'm going to zero my turret. So I'm gonna pull out a little screw here, I'm gonna pop this off, I'm gonna turn it, and I'm gonna put it down on the zero. And that's gonna allow me to get back to zero really easily if I do dial for whatever reason. The scope has cap turrets. I almost never dial for 3-gun matches, but sometimes you get to that stage where there's like 1 poke at 500 yards or something, and it's easier just to dial for it than it is to hold for it because you're not holding for anything else. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave those up in the comments, and if there's anything else you'd like to see, you can visit us at amtechsuppressors.com or tacticalperformancecenter.com.